In today's video, I'll be sharing with you the step-by-step process to make the most deliciously rich and thick Greek yogurt. If you're new here, I'm Suzanne, and this is The Farmer's Wife. I've been making this Greek yogurt on a regular basis for several weeks now, and I can't stop making it because it's so good and there's so many ways to flavor it. And so we're starting out with HOMO milk, 3.25%, and I'm going to be using 4 liters today. Greek yogurt is actually really high in protein because we're concentrating the protein by removing the whey. And so this is going to make us a really high protein snack that's going to keep you full and satiated. Once we've got the milk into our pot, we need a thermometer, and this is really important. We need to heat this milk gradually up to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is to kill off any competing bacteria that will compete with the yogurt bacteria. And so I put my stove on about 6 to 7, so medium-high heat. And we want to kind of slowly and gradually get it up there. We don't want to scorch the bottom of the pot. And so I'm going to be babying this and stirring the bottom. And I have scorched the bottom of my pot several times. If this happens, just don't scrape it up because it'll end up all in your milk and make a big mess. This process is probably going to take us about half an hour. So you could be in your kitchen doing dishes and other things while this is going. Just make sure that you don't leave it because we do need to keep stirring it. And so I am getting out my yogurt that I just made a couple of days ago, and I'm going to be using this as my starter for my yogurt. And so I'm reserving about 1/4 cup, and I don't measure this, I just kind of eyeball it. And this is what I love so much about making yogurt, is that you just keep reusing your yogurt as the starter for the next batch. And so once you do it once, you can just keep doing it and you never have to buy yogurt again, which is awesome. And so, of course, when you're starting out, you will need to go buy a plain yogurt, and I'll show that to you in a minute. So this is what my milk is looking like once it's at about 180 degrees, and it's getting kind of foamy on top. This is the boiling point. And at this point, I'm really being careful that I don't scorch the bottom because it can happen so quickly. And it won't ruin things. You can kind of strain it off and use a fine mesh strainer. But I just want to really prevent that because it's just not fun. And so I've removed this from the heat, and now this needs to cool down. And I'm just stirring it because it's going to stay at this temperature for quite a while. It actually took over an hour for it to cool down to temperature, and I think part of that is because I put it in this stainless steel bowl. If you put this into something that doesn't hold on to the heat as much, it probably would cool down quite a bit quicker. Now the sweet spot that we want to get to is around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. We want to cool this off, and once it's at that temperature, we're going to be adding our starter. And now you can go and buy a yogurt culture at a health food store, but you can just go buy plain yogurt. And I have 2 different kinds here, and one is the one that I used as my starter, and the other one is probably not as going to be recommended because there are other additives and ingredients. We just want to see on the label that it has milk and the bacterial culture, and that is it. And you can see here that this one says skim milk and cream and milk protein, just too many things. Whereas this other one just says milk and bacterial cultures. So that is what I used to start my initial batch. As it cools down, this skin kind of forms on the top of your milk, and that is totally normal. So you're just going to remove that. And my milk is getting really close to the timing, but I really wanted to wait because if you add it too soon and it's still too hot, you're likely to kill your culture. And so I'm doing the finger test. I'm putting my finger in there and it's still a little too uncomfortable. So I waited a little bit more until it was further down. And now what I'm doing is I'm scooping a little bit of that warm milk into my yogurt starter, and this is just for my last batch of yogurt. And I'm just kind of making it an easier consistency for it to spread really easily into the pot. And so now we need to keep this yogurt warm while it incubates. And I'll be showing you in a minute how I'm going to do that, but there are actually a lot of ways that you can do this. One of them is putting them in your oven wrapped in towels with the light on. Another one is on top of your fridge with towels. But today I'm using my brand new London Sunshine dehydrator because all of the shelving comes out of it, and I can fit this inside and keep it at a constantly warm temperature for many hours. You don't want it to go below 90 degrees and you don't want it to go above 130. So you want to keep it kind of in between. I'm setting mine at 104 degrees for 8 hours. And it actually only ended up taking me 5 hours to get it to the point where I was able to strain it. So I'll show you that in a little bit. I'm taking a quick break from making the yogurt to tell you guys about London Sunshine. They approached me to collaborate with them. I was so excited because their food dehydrator is everything that I could want in a dehydrator. This is a commercial grade food dehydrator that comes with 6 food grade stainless steel trays that you can take in or out. And the best part is that they are dishwasher safe and easy to clean. This dehydrator also comes with a set of 3 fine mesh BPA-free trays that can be used for smaller and finer items. And it also comes with 3 drip trays that you can use for either items that drip or you can use them for fruit roll-ups. So that is really great because I've seen other dehydrators on the market that you have to buy those items separate. Another really important feature on this dehydrator is this large fan in the back of the machine. This creates a back and forth airflow that allows all of your items to dehydrate at an even level. And if you've ever seen any of the old-fashioned kind of dehydrators, which I've had a few, they dehydrate from the bottom up, and that creates an uneven airflow, and you have to kind of rotate the trays. There are also a lot of temperature settings on this dehydrator, from 95 degrees F all the way up to 167, which allows a lot of different applications to be used. And one of the things that I love the most about this dehydrator is the size of it, because I can fit my mixing bowls inside, I can fit my bread pans, and I can even fit my Cuisinart mixing bowl from my electric mixer. Even though it has a really large capacity on the inside, it's still relatively small, and I can fit it underneath my kitchen cabinets quite easily. So it deserves a #1 spot on my kitchen counters, even though you guys have heard me say that I don't have a lot of counter space. This is just a really great dehydrator, you guys, so you don't want to miss out on this deal. If you go down to my description box below, you're going to get 10% off of this food dehydrator using the code FarmersWife10. And if you're growing any kind of food in your gardens this year, this is going to be really great for you. So I highly recommend. Go down and check it out, and let's get back to the video. All right, so here I am after only 5 hours of my yogurt being in the dehydrator, and I wanted to get it out while there was still good lighting, but honestly, it sets quite a bit quicker if you keep it at an even temperature. So if you're putting this on top of your fridge, you'll likely have to leave it there all night, which is totally fine. But I'm just really happy to have this new tool to make things quicker for myself. So the next step is that we're going to be straining off this yogurt. And there's quite a bit of whey inside of yogurt, so that's how we're going to get a nice, rich, and thick yogurt, is by straining this. And so I'm using a flour sack cloth to strain this. And you could use cheesecloth or any number of items, but this is what works really well for me, so I'm just continuing to do it. And so we want to strain this yogurt off into here, and then this is going to sit and strain in my fridge overnight. And so this is actually just regular yogurt, but we're going to be turning it into Greek yogurt. So if I just wanted regular yogurt, I could just mix that up and put it in a container and use it as is. But I really prefer the nice, rich, and thick Greek yogurt. So that's what I'm doing. So this is going into the fridge, and I'm going to leave it there all night. And I actually did strain it out one time before I went to bed, because the whey collects quite a bit. And so I just strained off a little bit of it into the sink and then let it keep going all night long. Here we are the next morning, and I decided to put some of this really thick honey into a jar and try to soften it, because I just didn't want to have to run to the store to get honey for my project. We actually got this honey from a beekeeper who was beekeeping on the property here, and he gave us this giant tub of honey. So it's pretty special, and it's just a really thick honey. So I'm getting my yogurt out, and I'll show you how much whey has collected at the bottom here. And I've actually read that you can use this as a replacement for buttermilk in recipes. But I just tossed it out because I'm making so much yogurt right now. I would just have way too much whey on my hands if I decided to keep it. But maybe I'll figure out ways to use it. So I'm going to show you this. Yogurt has really condensed, and it is so thick. It's almost as thick as a cream cheese. Not quite, but it's getting there. And if you continued to empty the whey and let it sit, it would turn into a thick, almost cream cheese. So because I used 4 liters of milk, I was really curious to see how much yogurt I would get, because there's the 1 liter mark. Because at the store, I noticed that the larger containers of yogurt, which were almost $16 to $17 Canadian, were 1.75 liters of yogurt. And so I wanted to see if a $6 jug of milk could get me 1.75 liters of Greek yogurt. And I ended up getting right around 2 liters of Greek yogurt. So it condensed by about half, and I'm pretty pleased with that. Now I can get the same size jug at Walmart for about $12 or $13, but at our more expensive grocery stores, it was as high as $16 to $17. So now I'm just whisking this up to remove the lumps and just kind of cream it a little bit. And look how beautifully rich and thick this yogurt is. Now I'm taking some out to reserve as my starter for my next batch. And that's really important because if you're going to be flavoring your yogurt, you really want to put some aside that's just plain and ready to go. And so I'm just going to be having a little bit of this for my morning breakfast with some strawberries and some honey. When you make the yogurt yourself, you don't have any additives or things that you don't want in your yogurt. And I actually usually get breakouts from the regular store-bought yogurt, and that hasn't happened with this. So I'm pretty pleased. So now I'm making a few different ways of flavoring my yogurts. Let me know down in the comments if you would like a separate video all about this. And there are just so many ways that you can flavor your yogurt and make it really delicious. Don't forget to head down to my description box and check out this dehydrator. 10% off using the code FarmersWife10. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you to London Sunshine for collaborating with me on today's video.